Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video, I'm going to be going over the all-new Toyota Sequoia. Before getting into this video though, as always, a huge shout out and thank you to the Larry Miller Toyota here in Murray, Utah for giving me some time with the Sequoia. I'm going to include a link to their inventory in the description down below so you can check out what they have currently. If you have any questions or need any help, just ask for Mitch. And then on a side note, if you save time, money the next time you purchase a car, link to my car buying guide in the description down below. Let's get into it. Under the hood, we have a twin-turbo 3.5-liter V6 that goes through a 10-speed automatic transmission. It's also paired to a hybrid system. Fuel economy is 19 around town and then 22 on the highway, with power outputs being 437 horsepower and then 583 pound-feet of torque. This is the only powertrain you can get with the new Sequoia. Before we go over the front end, I do want to mention if you want to see more videos just like this, then I recommend you subscribe because I post content every single day. Starting with the hood on the Sequoia, it looks very similar to what you have on the new Tundra, and you guys will notice a lot of similarities, but I think it looks fantastic, especially with this metallic gray. And then popping down below, you guys can see here with the LED lights, and then I love little orange accent right there, and it has the same kind of like little teardrop just like the Tundra. Massive front grille there with the Toyota logo. Notice the Toyota logo is actually blacked out. It also has a camera there at the front, and there's a sensor just down below, and you guys can see parking sensors there at the bottom, and then we actually do have fog lights. And here's a closer look at some of the elements like the Toyota logo, and then you guys can see the fog lights down below here on either side. And then when you put it all together, I think that the new Sequoia looks really sharp. Coming around the side here, our tire wheel setup is 265/60/20 in the front and over in the rear as well. And then you can see here with the design itself, you got the silver there all around, and then you've got the metallic gray in the center. We've got independent front suspension here with the new Sequoia. We've got this cool iForce Max badge there, and then we have a limited badge down below to signify the trim package. And when we put it all together, you can see we've got the body painted fender flares there, fixed side steps, and then notice chrome with the door handles, and then also with the window trim, and I think this thing looks fantastic. But I've noticed that the back end looks super similar to the Lexus LX 600 that I had the other week. Now the new Sequoia does have multi-link suspension in the rear and a solid rear axle. And we got a spare tire underneath. Now taking a look at the key fob here, you can see, well, nothing happened on the back, but we do have our lock function unlocked, the opening here for the hatch, and then the Toyota logo, which, speaking of hatch, we'll hold that down and we'll pop that right open. Now I've got the third row folded down so you guys can see how much storage space there is in the rear. First off, we've got this cargo cover here built in, which is pretty cool. Now the storage space behind the third row isn't massive, but you could still use it for quite a few things. Now with the third row folded down, that helps out quite a bit, but the third row, obviously you can see it's different level than the back, so it's kind of interesting everything that's happening back here. There does happen to be an outlet here in the back, which is pretty cool, and then light down below. So something that I realized that I just missed is you can actually use this to like increase the height of the loading floor, which is something else that's cool. And then something else is you've got this latch here that you can use to slide the third row forwards and backwards, which would also help out. Now we've got these controls here in the rear that the camera's struggling to focus on, but anyways, these will lower and raise the third row automatically. So if I press those, the third row will pop right into place. It does take a second though. Boom. And then you can see here with the third row folded up that, again, it does definitely shrink the storage space quite a bit. And then you notice this does have the whole foot closing function, but you can also use these buttons, but we always got to try the foot close because that's always fun to see if it works. See if I have the magic touch. Oh, yep. There we go. Figured it out. Now starting with the taillights here, I think they look really cool. You guys can see what the turn signal indicator looks like, and then just bam. Kind of reminds me again of Lexus taillights though. There's a lot of like Lexus carryover it seems. And then you can see we've got the Toyota logo there all blacked out, and then the Sequoia logo blacked out down below. Now we have this button here in the back that actually pops the rear window here, so you can just throw things in. And then if you're wondering, there's another popper here for the hatch just right there, right below the Toyota logo. Parking sensors here at the bottom. And yeah, I think the back end looks really good, but again, it really reminds me of the new Lexus LX 600. It seems like they have like the same looking back end. Now here's the door panel in the rear. First off, we have these gigantic sunshades because, well, we have a huge window here in the back, and then really nice padding down below here in the limited. You got our window control here, and you can see stuff like our handle speakers for the sound system, and you know, tons of storage space on the door panel. Now this is the craziest thing I've ever seen. So this is how you get into the third row. Just watch how like fast this is. It's like it's doing a front flip. Now some unique features here in the third row. I've got these sunshades back here. some cup holders down below. This is actually for my seat to recline it or move it forward, and just, you know, hard touch right there. Now in terms of legroom, you guys can see for adults, I mean, you could fit if you kind of like squished your legs up, but I would reserve this for kids when it comes to legroom. And then when it comes to headroom, it's actually pretty decent back here. Now, none of the lighting's horrible back here, but all I want to tell you guys is that the seats would be really easy to clean off here in the back, but they don't have the same cool design as the rest of the seats in the Sequoia, which is kind of interesting. Now, I think you can get the second row back into place just with one hand. Let's see. Oh yeah, that's easy. Now, taking a look at the seats themselves, this is what I'm talking about. So you can see the design here on the seats, similar to like the Tundra with like the military print there in the center. Definitely looks good. Now, legroom here in the second row is absolutely enormous. You can see we've got a storage pocket right there. We've got some cup holders, and then we have our climate controls down below, and then you can see with the USB ports as well. In terms of headroom, it's also really good. And then, of course, we have the super famous cup holder armrest. And the last thing I want to mention, we do have a panoramic sunroof, which looks really cool here from the second row because it just, you know, makes the interior feel a lot more open. Now with the front door panel, you guys can see here with the padding there at the top and then down below, we've got all of our window controls right here, door lock and unlock. We've got our mirror adjustments. The mirrors do power fold in. They also have blind spot monitoring. And then we have our memory seat function down below there, and then tons of storage here on the door panel. Now here's the payload sticker. You guys can see 1360 is the payload, and then gross vehicle weight rating is 7615. So that means this thing weighs about 6,200 pounds roughly. Taking a look at the front seats, they have that same cool print that the second row has. And then you can see with the power adjustments there on the side. Pretty normal pedals down below. And then we've got Sequoia here for the floor mat. We have a bunch of controls in this area. Main stuff is to like turn on the outlet, your heated steering wheel, gas cap release, for example, and then to turn certain lights off. So pretty straightforward. This is normally where I do my cool transition clip, where I close the door and then I push the start button and then I show you guys the starting animation. I'll show you the starting animation a little bit later, but we're keeping this open for lighting purposes. Now with the steering wheel, we've got really nice leather trim all around. Notice it's like that cowhide texture at the top and at the bottom, perforated here on the sides to get a slightly better grip. We do have our controls for like the adaptive cruise control, the lane keep assist, volume controls, voice command controls, controls for the center stack in general. And then of course we have our turn signal light stock, windshield wiper stock. So here's our fun startup animation. Sequoia, that's pretty cool. And then if I press it again, then this will turn everything on without having the car on. Now with this gauge cluster, this is a full digital gauge cluster, and notice how it shows us a bunch of information like with the turbo setup and then obviously with the hybrid system as well, which I think is pretty cool. And then if I clear that menu, notice there's some menus we can scroll through to see different bits of info on the vehicle as well. So job well done. Now popping over to the infotainment screen, it has a shortcut bar here on the side. This is Toyota's larger screen, and response time with it is fantastic. It's really easy to use overall, and I feel like it's pretty self-explanatory. Like pop over to the vehicle tab and then you can pop in information on the vehicle, you know, easy. Down below that, we've got a bunch of analog controls. So this is for like the radio there on the side, but we've got controls for the climate system. We've got dual zone here for the front. Again, we do have a rear climate as well that I showed earlier. Heated and cooled seats here for the front passengers as well, and then a little USB port there off to the side. Now I've got some controls right here for like the camera system. We've got that for the stability control and then hazard lights and then some blank switches off to the side. But if I press that camera button, it gives us this like weird 360 view on the outside. Now we've got our auto hold there if you want to use that function, then parking brake. And then we do have some more storage space. This is just down below all of these switches. And then if I push this tab, we've got some cup holders. Now this is all going to feel very familiar because this is like straight carryover from the Tundra. So we have, again, the shifter there in the center, drive mode select here with our tow haul mode there on the other side, and then our drive line select, just like the Tundra, 2-wheel high, 4-wheel low, no 4-wheel auto. And the center console is identical to the Tundra as well. You have that little window. You can see the USBs there. Nice padding on the top of it, and then you can pick the whole thing up to go inside, which is cool. And then taking a look at the dash, again, this is another thing that is just pretty much a straight carryover from the Tundra. Really nice padding, and of course, I got the glove box. And then up top here, we've got controls for like the panoramic sunroof, for example, light controls, you know, all the normal stuff. Now we're gonna start it up quickly so I can show you guys a couple of features with it on. So now that's what the gauge cluster looks like with it started on. And apparently I can't talk as soon as I'm supposed to. But anyways, we have some different drive modes. You got your normal, eco, and then sport that you can go through. And notice it shows what changes with the drive modes, mainly the powertrain. And then we got that tow haul mode, which notice that'll pop up right there when I press it, which is pretty cool. So I like the animation there. I love, yeah, the overall animation for the RPMs, which is fun. I'm gonna give it a little baby rev. So you guys can kind of see how the tack looks as that moves. And then I do want to pop it into reverse so you guys can see the camera system here. So we got trajectory lines that do turn with the steering wheel. Full 360 camera system. So you can see out of every single angle here with the Sequoia. I mean, it's absolutely fantastic when it comes to a camera system. I love how you have a back button for all of it. That is definitely interesting. But yeah, I mean, that's cool. And then this is the window sticker for this Sequoia. So first off, this is the standard equipment section right here. So you can see everything that comes with it, which pretty much everything is standard with this limited package. And then popping over here, you can see the base MSRP on it, $67,700. Now this does have a couple of options added to it. The most expensive of those is the running boards, which also look at how grippy those are. That's pretty neat. But anyways, total MSRP on this is $71,593. And with that being said, let's kind of sum things up. So summing things up with the Sequoia, first off, seeing a regular package in person I think was really good because all I've seen so far is the TRD Pro and the Capstone. So again, seeing the regular limited, which is what most people are most likely going to purchase, I think was awesome. When it comes to styling, the new Sequoia actually looks really good. The one thing that I will say though is it's crazy like how much of the styling they've taken from the new LX 600 and then the new Tundra and like basically combined it to make the Sequoia, which I don't think is a bad thing because both of those vehicles look really good. When it comes to the interior, most of it's a carryover from the Tundra, and so yeah, I think it's a really solid interior, purpose built. Again, has that normal like Toyota utilitarian feel to it. And then when it comes to features, it has a bunch of really nice features. And again, having that hybrid powertrain as standard, I think is really solid. Now, the only thing that I think is a slight downside with the new Sequoia is just the overall interior dimension setup. Like I said, with that like weird third row setup where like the third row is like higher than the rest of the load floor, I thought was kind of interesting. And then the thing that I did notice with the second row is it was extremely spacious, and it was actually a lot more spacious compared to the LX 600. If you guys don't know, the Lexus LX 600 is about 8 inches shorter compared to the Sequoia, and it looks like almost all of those 8 inches went to the second row passengers, and then also a little bit to the third row passengers rather than to the storage behind the third row, if that makes sense. So maybe they're going to release like a longer version of the Sequoia. I'm not sure. It's already, you know, sold out for quite some time, so it's not like they have to change anything, but you know, maybe they will in the future. Either way, really cool looking vehicle, and if you're lucky enough to get one of them, then well, you're lucky enough to get one of them because they are super hard to come by at this point. I think that the wait time for like pretty much every package on the Sequoia is like 1 to 2 to 3 years at this point because there's just so much hype behind the vehicle. And so yeah, with that being said, again, a huge shout out and thank you to the Larry Schmiller Toyota here in Murray, Utah for giving me some time with this Sequoia. Check out the inventory in the description down below. Ask for Mitch if you have any questions. I'll see ya.